Oh, hey guys, this is Jack from Seller Source Pro. Today's video is the first in a new series. You knew when I opened this channel, and if you know me personally, I'm into comic books, science fiction, and Star Trek. And this is the first time I've gotten a chance to really do a kind of a bigger video. We've done some comic book videos, but today's video is a little different. This one is about the State of the Union. No, not the political State of the Union. We know we don't want to go there, that's for sure. But the State of the Union in regards to the science fiction community and specifically Star Trek here in 2019. Well, let me preface this from the beginning. I don't want this video to be inflammatory in any way, but I do have an opinion that's very, very strong, and I want to make sure that people take this the right way, because that's the last thing I want to do, is to create more anger. And that's what this video is about. So I'm 52 years old. I've been a Star Trek fan forever. My parents took me to Star Trek conventions when I was probably about 8 years old, and I've been a huge fan ever since. To give you guys a little bit more cred, not only that, but I wrote 2 Star Trek The Next Generation spec scripts, which were sent in, and I even got to go to the sets on the filming of a Star Trek episode. So I've been to conventions, I've been around fans my entire life, and from the start of the internet, I saw this amazing ability to then connect with and see other people's opinions and fandom across the globe when it comes to Star Trek and everything related to science fiction. Well, what I've noticed is quite disturbing, and it started, I guess, just a few years ago. Let's give you a little bit of background information. So when the internet started getting bigger, obviously Star Trek fans, comic book fans, science fiction fans had this great medium to converse and speak to each other in regards to props like this, or their favorite episodes, or new movies that were coming out. And it was wonderful. Sites like TrekToday.com, eventually sci-fi.com and trekmovies.com, I remember. These were all great sites where people all had the same love. A love of Trek, a love of science fiction, and a love of these characters and what they stood for. And whether you agreed on any of these subjects, there was a respect, there was a mutual respect for other fans in the community. So we may disagree on what our favorite episode was, or whether we liked the book or not, or who was the greatest captain on any of the TV shows, but there was always a level of respect because we knew deep down inside we all loved the same thing. Well, lately that is not the case, and it is so upsetting to me that I had to do this video. Well, I guess it all starts, it really doesn't even have to do with science fiction or Star Trek. What we've seen in the last 10 years, if you pull yourself out of your own beliefs and you look at this objectively, here in the United States, we've seen this incredible movement of polarization. Obviously, it started in politics, where it just seems like if you don't agree with what I think is correct, then you must be wrong. You're either a Democrat or a Republican. But in reality, we're all basically citizens of the same country, aren't we? We may have different philosophies, and we should be able to respect one another. But what we've seen in the last 10 years is that if you don't believe in what I believe in, you must be wrong. And even to go further, we see this violence, this hatred, this intensity for people that don't agree with us. And it's bad enough to see that on the news and in politics, but I never thought I would come to a point where I felt this animosity, this Trek on Trek bullying, the way that it currently is on YouTube and on the internet. And you guys know what I'm talking about if you've been on YouTube. It's absolutely horrible. And you know what I'm referring to. It basically is, it all started for me that I had to do something at this point, because I've seen this with the Marvel and the versus DC fans in the comic book area, and I hated it then. You know, growing up, We were thrilled to be able to get any type of superhero-based movie or TV show because they were few and far between. And somehow along the way, it became this, I'm a Marvel guy, I'm a DC guy, instead of being thrilled that you're getting movies in a genre that we all love. Well, now this has moved over in the last 2 years into the Trek community and science fiction in general. And I had to make a stand because I just can't stand it. Fans in this arena, I don't get it. When I grew up, we were thrilled that we had something new to see. We were thrilled that we had something to talk about. And yes, does that mean that you have to like every TV show or every movie or every book? No. But does it mean that you have to attack someone for not having the same opinion as you? I don't think so. That's not what Star Trek is about. That's not what science fiction and the genre is about. So all of these YouTube channels that you guys have seen, I believe they're really just pure clickbait. It's just feeding into the frenzy the same way that we've seen in the political arena. So what are we referring to? We're referring to the channels that constantly berate the new Star Trek show, Discovery. If you haven't watched Discovery, it's the latest, it's the first TV show in a number of years, over a decade or close to a decade, I guess, that's come out. It is completely revolutionary. It is very different than any other Star Trek show. It is not cookie cutter. It is on a streaming service, which means that you have to pay to see it. And right away, because of CBS Access doing this, it turned off some fans. Well, the bottom line is, I understand that you're aggravated that you have to pay for something. But listen, this is 2019. This is the way it goes. If you don't like it, that's just the story. You have to pay nowadays. Streaming services and paying for content is the way it goes. This is not the 1980s, okay? This is 2019. You have the right to not pay and wait until they come out on DVDs or Blu-ray or anything you want. But I believe that part of the animosity started right there. And I think it's completely unfair. Marvel is going to have a streaming service. DC already has a streaming service. We have Netflix, we have Hulu, and we have many more on the way. We've been paying for pay-per-view events for over 30 years. So the fact that this is the way it is with the new Star Trek TV show, it's not a good enough reason to have animosity for a show that many people have not even seen. So let's talk about the next thing, all right? The show itself, all right? I'm going to tell you straight out, I like Star Trek Discovery. It's as simple as that. I am one of the oldest fans. I've told you, I've loved every single show. I've read every book, comic books, everything. I have an open mind. I don't believe that every single Star Trek show has to feel exactly like the original or Next Generation. I don't believe that all the characters have to get along and act like perfect cardboard cutouts. I don't believe that the universe that Gene Roddenberry created was supposed to be a complete utopia. Do you want to see stories that are absolutely about perfect people making perfect decisions? It's ridiculous. So to make the statement that it's not really Star Trek simply because these characters are three-dimensional, they make mistakes, they actually curse, they actually have expanded the universe in other ways, this is what Star Trek is about. Star Trek is not about recreating what we liked from the original show. That's not what Star Trek is about. Star Trek is about moving forward. Star Trek is about moral stories, whether they're good people, bad people, or actually like us, somewhere in between. That's what Discovery is about. The other concept on Discovery that's very different for people is that it's one continuous, basically, storyline. And that throws people because Star Trek is basically episodic in the past. So for the most part, they're self-contained episodes. And in the first season of Discovery, it had a theme going through the entire show. And yes, they still had individual shows, so it's just not true that it's one long movie. That's not what's going on. The special effects in Discovery are better than most of the movies that we go see. And let's talk about the actors for a minute. This cast was incredible. Burnham is amazing. The actress that plays this main character is from The Walking Dead. She was incredible there, and she's incredible here. She is an amazing actress. The rest of the cast is incredible as well. It is diverse. The stories have a great flow to them, and they're not cookie cutter. Now, let's be honest. I love Next Generation, all right? I love Next Generation. But the problem is that type of storytelling where you have this beginning, middle, and end that is so rigid, where everything gets solved in the last 2 minutes of an episode, that's not the way TV is anymore. So if you're simply looking for that type of storyline, it's not going to happen because it doesn't work anymore. It doesn't work. Game of Thrones doesn't do that. Walking Dead doesn't do that. And many other of the biggest shows that have been on TV in the last few years don't follow that pattern. They take as long as they need to tell a good story. So, the other thing that people sometimes complain about with Discovery is the fact that they feel that it's rewriting history, continuity. Well, let's talk about that for a minute as well. First of all, how many episodes of Star Trek have been made over the last 40 years, 50 years? It's insane. How many books have been written? Cartoons? How many movies have been made? If you are going to force the writers, force creative teams to follow that so rigidly that you are basically stunting any chance of us getting any type of creative flow, anything unusual, anything unique coming forward in the world of Star Trek. That's just a fact. You have to give leeway. Give the writers, give the creators the ability to think, to create, to do something new. Do not overanalyze every story. Take a deep breath. Watch the episodes and see whether they're, number one, entertaining. Do they have the core feeling of Star Trek? Are you getting something out of it? Do you look forward to the next episode? Do you like these characters? For me personally, I was hooked. I liked it. Did I love every episode? No. Do I think everything they did is something that I liked? No. But to go ahead, like some of these channels are doing, and just totally abuse and trash Star Trek Discovery is being done for a whole different reason. It's being done for money. Yeah, you heard it here first. Don't believe these people. This is ridiculous, okay? The real reason that you're seeing these videos on and on and on is because they're clickbait. They're making money off of you, off of feeding into this hatred, feeding into this frenzy. Boy, that sounds familiar, doesn't it? Doesn't that sound a lot like U.S. politics right now? Well, that's exactly what's going on in the world of Star Trek here on YouTube and in social media. I'm not telling you have to love Discovery. I'm not telling you that the Klingons in the first season were the same as the Klingons before. But really, think about it for a minute. You're going to complain about something new with the Klingons? Isn't this the same race that completely changed their actual physical appearance and look from the original series to the Next Generation? Didn't we rewrite history and determine why they look different? So why are you making such a big deal, YouTubers, over the fact that the Klingons are different? I don't get it. It all comes back to the same thing. Clickbait, money. Now, let's talk about the other thing that they're creating. This illusion of some type of a fight between fans that love the Orville and fans that love Star Trek Discovery. Again, if you're buying into this nonsense of what real Star Trek is, you are just feeding the pockets of these YouTubers. That's a simple fact. Why would there be a fight? Why? Why can't you understand that you can like more than one thing? Aren't there people that actually like and enjoy Star Wars that are also Star Trek fans? Wow, what a shock. Can't we all just get along? Isn't that the case? So here's the deal. In terms of the Orville, I wasn't sure that it was something that I would like. I like Seth MacFarlane. I loved Family Guy, so I gave it a shot. I also knew that Seth MacFarlane was a big Star Trek fan. So I realized that no matter what the end product was, I was going to give it a chance. and I was pleasantly surprised. The beauty of the Orville is that it still can tell real stories. It still tells real moral Star Trek-based type of stories. The characters are good. The special effects are okay. They're pretty good. But the thing is, it's not Star Trek, okay? Seth MacFarlane will tell you it's not Star Trek, okay? It is a parody of Star Trek, but at its best, it has elements that we all love about Star Trek. The stories are good. They really are. I enjoy the Orville a lot. I'm interested to see what they do from one week to the next. Yes, does it have a lot in common with the original Star Trek structure? Does it usually tell single episode stories? Yes. Does it look and feel like Next Generation? Yes. Guess why? Because a lot of the look and feel, a lot of the behind the scenes production, the directors, everybody, a lot of these people, because they have a love for Star Trek, worked on Star Trek back then and are now working on the Orville. That's great. Seth MacFarlane gave them another outlet. It's fantastic, okay? But is it the next iteration of Star Trek the way that you're being told that it is? No, it's not. Okay? I love the Orville. I think it's great. I hope it lasts for a lot of seasons. I like Seth MacFarlane. I like what he's doing. The episodes are a lot of fun to watch. But please, you don't have to choose. You don't have to choose. If you want future Star Trek, if you want Star Trek 2.0, that is what Star Trek Discovery is, okay? You may not feel that it's the same as the old Star Trek or whatever your favorite show is or movie, but it is Star Trek. Give it a chance. I think that many of the people that even comment on those videos on those hate channels have not even watched the episodes. If you look at those comments, they haven't even paid the money to CBS Access to watch those episodes. They're just chiming in. It's that group mentality that if enough people say they hate something, that's exactly what you're going to get. And that's just not the case. Star Trek Discovery is quality TV. Star Trek Discovery, the developers, the writers are doing an amazing job. They're creating bold, new adventures. And the thing is, we're not going to like every decision they make. If you want something that's the same old thing, you can go back and watch your VHS tapes of those old episodes. Or you can watch the fan fiction that was created up until recently. The fan fiction was a lot of fun. I loved watching that stuff too. But you know what? Most of it was just recreating a look and a feel that made us nostalgic. That's all it was. Most of those stories never took us forward in any big way. They never expanded on the Star Trek universe. They just played with our mind. They made us feel nostalgic about those uniforms, that bridge. That's what they did. That's not moving forward. That's not progression. Progression is moving forward. That's what Star Trek Discovery is for me. I'm not saying you have to agree with me. I'm not saying you have to love the Orville and Star Trek Discovery. But stop the hate. That's what this video is basically about. That's not what Star Trek is about. That's not what any of the genre stuff is about. We're supposed to embrace fans. We're supposed to be thrilled that we have new content. We're supposed to be okay and accepting of other people's opinions. That's the true nature of Star Trek. And that is what has been lost based on these YouTube channels and these videos and the hate mongering that I see going on. You have the decision. You have your own decision to make. You can either continue to feed in to the Orville versus Star Trek Discovery nonsense. You can feed into that Discovery is not really Star Trek. You can feed into that animosity, that fear, that anger. Or you can say, let's embrace all the amazing things that we have out there right now. Think about how many shows we have, whether it's in the superhero or science fiction arena, right now on TV. Look how many options we have and be thrilled that we have them. Not everybody loves those same shows that I love. Not everybody loves Stargate. Not everybody loves Van Helsing on Sci-Fi. Not everybody likes Discovery, the Orville, the Arrowverse, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. You don't have to like everything. I love Gotham. And yet, if you read some of the early reviews on Gotham, you would think it was the worst thing ever made because Batman wasn't actually in it. Well, guess what? If you haven't watched Gotham over the last few years, you have missed out on absolutely one of the best adaptions of any superhero genre ever made. Gotham, characters, scripts, action, everything is incredible. But if you listen to a lot of these people on YouTube, you would have been told, well, this isn't really Batman because he doesn't exist in that show. And you wouldn't have watched one of the best superhero shows on TV. So I would say make your own opinions. Stop the hatred. Stop the this versus that. And stop feeding into these YouTube channels that are just creating clickbait animosity so that they can put cash in their own pockets. It's up to you to do it. Make your own decisions. With that, live long and prosper. Have a great day, and we'll see you on another video. Bye-bye.